Давай! Извини, брат, зацепился, блядь.
Ukrainian soldiers hit and destroyed in May more than 89,000 Russian targets using drones of various types, Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky said. Syrsky did not specify which targets were hit. Throughout Russia's all-out war, Ukrainian drones have been used to target Russian vehicles, troops, as well as fortified positions. The Kyiv Independent could not independently verify these claims. Ukraine has pioneered drone technology during Russia's full-scale war, introducing various ground, air, and sea-based models for combat and reconnaissance missions. According to Syrsky, Russia is adopting Ukraine's drone warfare tactics and expanding its use of unmanned units. During the meeting with Ukrainian commanders, intelligence briefed Syrsky that the Russian army had received new types of drones and ground-based robotic systems. In response, Ukraine is ramping up the number of drone crews and advancing its own unmanned capabilities, Syrsky said. Each drone means a destroyed enemy, and therefore a saved life of a Ukrainian serviceman. A special emphasis is placed on the destruction of enemy UAV operators and their command centers, the commander added. Ukraine is working to scale up domestic production. Kyiv has also developed long-range missile drone hybrids, including the Polyanitsia and Peklo models, which use turbojet engines as cruise missile alternatives. Senior Lieutenant Viktor Samoylov, rocket artillery battery commander, was killed in Russia's Belgorod region. As a former Sevastopol-Nakimovsky district official, he backed Crimea's annexation in 2014, fought with the BARS unit from 2022, and signed a contract with Russia's Ministry of Defense in 2024. The occupiers on the Kherson front used a Ural 4320 truck to transport a mortar with ammunition, but a nighttime visit from the Vampire drone made some adjustments to their plans.
Блять, ебать их. Уебало нахуй. Давай! Извини, брат, зацепился, блядь.
An FPV drone operated by the Magyar's Birds Brigade successfully destroyed a loaded Russian BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launcher in Russia's Kursk region. Footage of the strike was published on the official YouTube channel of the brigade's commander, Robert Brovdy. The Ukrainian drone scored a direct hit on the rocket pack, triggering a powerful simultaneous detonation of the munitions. The destruction of the Russian MRL was recorded on video by another Ukrainian drone for objective monitoring. An explosion of such magnitude left no chance of survival for the crew of the Russian Grad, if they were inside the cabin or near the launcher at the time. According to the War in Ukraine Equipment Losses Telegram channel, analysis of the published footage revealed that the Russian system was destroyed within the vicinity of the village of Novoivanovka in the Kursk region. Ukrainian defenders continue to destroy the invaders' equipment and weaponry both in temporarily occupied territories and on Russian soil. Specifically, since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, the Russian invaders have lost over 200 BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launchers, either destroyed or damaged. According to OSINT analysts monitoring the conflict, the number of Grad systems destroyed exceeds those merely damaged. Following the widespread use of strike UAVs, primarily FPV drones, on the front lines, Russian forces began outfitting their equipment, including MLRSs, with anti-drone protection. However, due to the design features of these systems, such protective measures have proven to be largely ineffective. In March, pilots of the 414th Strike UAV Brigade successfully struck a rare Russian heavy flamethrower system, the TOS-2 Tosochka. This vehicle became only the second system of its kind that Russian forces have lost since the beginning of the full-scale invasion.
For every 5,000 to 6,000 unique enemy targets destroyed or hit by Magyar's birds each month, on average only 10 multiple rocket launches fall and only some of them can be hit with a full load of 40 rockets. And then it looks like this, da.
Bada boom, jaga jaga, motherfucker. Fucking clouds. Again?
Oh, fat and loud bass guitar, Pozma Loskut Kurut. That really hit. The art of modern warfare. Hunt or be hunted. A drone for every worm's noggin. Eyes and sting. Worm's horror.
Trump has not yet decided whether to send a representative to the upcoming talks in Istanbul, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said. "We hope Russia and Ukraine will engage in direct discussions next week, and we believe the meeting will take place," she added. During talks in Istanbul, the Russian delegation told Ukrainian counterparts that Russia intends to take Sumy and Kharkiv regions, Financial Times reports. They add that Putin, while visiting Kursk, affirmed Sumy should be Russian, according to a Russian official. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said that Russia's delegation at the June 2nd negotiations in Istanbul will remain unchanged. U.S. President Donald Trump is extremely frustrated with Russian President Vladimir Putin over continued civilian deaths during ongoing ceasefire negotiations, State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce said during a briefing on Friday. The remarks followed a phone call between U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, during which the two discussed the progress, or lack thereof, in the peace process. Rubio welcomed, as we all did, the exchange of 1,000 for 1,000 prisoners, which happened over the weekend, Bruce said. She added that Rubio had reiterated Trump's calls for constructive, good-faith dialogue with Ukraine as the only path forward to ending the war. When asked whether Lavrov had provided any clarity on the peace memorandum Moscow had promised, Bruce said she had no further update, but said that the U.S. would judge Russia by its actions, not its words. On whether the renewed talks in Istanbul are genuine or just political theater, Bruce declined to characterize the secretary's private views, instead pointing back to his public reaffirmation of the need for dialogue. Pressed on whether good faith dialogue can continue while Russian military offensives persist, Bruce said, "We're going to find that out. Again, we're judging. And I think the president has judged Putin, based on the nature of what was clearly extremely frustrating to him regarding the killing of civilians while talks are going on for a ceasefire." Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky recently said that no one has seen the peace memorandum Russia claims to have offered, casting further doubt on Moscow's commitment to negotiations. Moscow proposed the meeting to present a memorandum outlining its terms for a long-term settlement. However, Ukraine requested the document in advance to assess Russia's seriousness, which the Kremlin rejected. Ukrainian officials remain skeptical, recalling that Putin skipped the first round of Istanbul talks on May 16th, despite proposing them, sending low-level delegates instead. Trump earlier warned that Putin was playing with fire, amid mounting Western frustration with Moscow's behavior. Russia's UN ambassador Nebenzia, speaking at a UN Security Council meeting, no new anti-Russian sanctions, arms supplies to Ukraine, and other steps hostile to Russia will prevent the inevitable military defeat of Zelensky's regime. He's plainly saying that Russia has no intention of ending the war.
До тех пор, пока в Киеве будут пытаться затянуть войну и провоцировать Россию, нанося удары по жилой и гражданской инфраструктуре на нашей территории, мы будем продолжать нашу специальную военную операцию и уничтожать объекты, связанные с военным потенциалом киевского режима. И никакие новые антироссийские санкции, поставки оружия Украине и другие враждебные по отношению к России шаги не предотвратят неизбежное военное поражение режима Зеленского.
While Russian officials continue to feed Russians with tales about patriotism and the decaying West, their wives live in luxury on stolen money abroad, and their children receive elite education and own real estate worth millions of dollars. Lyudmila Ocheretnaya, President Putin's ex-wife, lives in Europe after her divorce in 2013, owns elite real estate in Spain, Switzerland, and France, totaling more than 10 million euros. She married Artur Ocheretny, who immediately turned into a successful businessman. Maria Vorontsova, Putin's eldest daughter, was married to Dutch businessman Jorrit Fossen, lived in Amsterdam, and was the largest investor in the country's economy. In 2014, Dutch residents called for Vorontsova to be expelled from the country after a Boeing 777 passenger jet was shot down by Russian fighters in the skies over Ukraine. Ekaterina Tikhonova, Putin's second daughter, lived in London with a South Korean citizen and owns a transatlantic shipping company. Ekaterina Vinokurova, the daughter of Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, was born in the United States and graduated in London with a master's degree in economics. Ekaterina now lives in Moscow and is the director of the Russian department of the British auction house Christie's. She has Russian and Israeli citizenship, but probably also American citizenship, as she was born there. Tatiana Navka. The wife of Putin's press secretary Dmitry Peskov has two citizenships, Russian and American. She lived in the U.S. for more than 15 years. Elizaveta Peskova. Dmitry Peskov's daughter lived in Paris for many years and is a French citizen. She graduated from the private elite boarding school École de Roche and then studied at the University of Paris. After completing her education, she returned to Moscow, where she immediately obtained a high position. Nikolai Peskov, Nikolai Choles. Peskov's eldest son lives in the UK under the name Nikolai Choles, leads a bohemian lifestyle and owns several apartments. He has also been tried in the UK and spent more than a year in prison. Ilya Medvedev, the son of former Russian president, now deputy chairman of the Security Council Dmitry Medvedev, studied at the University of Massachusetts in the United States. U.S. citizen, owns a chain of supermarkets and gas stations. Nikolai Mizulin, son of Elena Mizulina, a member of the Federation Council, studied at the University of Bern and Oxford University, and now works as a lawyer and lives in Brussels. Nikolai's mother is an ardent opponent of LGBT+ communities and even amended the law to ban gay propaganda, because in her opinion, such relationships are inferior. But the ridiculousness of the situation is that her son is gay and married a man in the U.S. Ekaterina, Anastasia, and Liza Zhelezniak, the daughters of State Duma Deputy Speaker Sergei Zhelezniak, study abroad. Ekaterina attends an elite Swiss school. Anastasia studies at a university in London. The youngest, Liza, currently lives in London as well. Pyotr Zhukov, the son of Deputy Speaker of the State Duma. Alexander Zhukov studied in London and even spent 14 months in jail there for taking part in a drunken fight. Artyom Chechikin, the grandson of the National Guard of Russia, Rosvardia, head Viktor Zolotov, went to an elite school in the UK. Anna Chuichenko, the daughter of Justice Minister Konstantin Chuichenko, studied and lives in London. Danil Solovyev, the son of the Russian propagandist Vladimir Solovyev, lives in London, where he works in modeling.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.